Hey there, and welcome to Code Academy. My name is Galena, and I'm a developer from New York. Today, we'll be covering the Fashion Blog Freeform project, part of the Learn HTML course. Now, before we get started, let's take a look at some of the concepts we'll be working with today. To complete this project, you'll need to be familiar with the anatomy of an HTML element and the structure of HTML elements on a page. We will also be utilizing the following HTML tags within the body: H1, H2, H3, H4, which are all headings, and also the paragraph, image, unordered list, list item, anchor, strong, and division elements. Fashion blog. Your friend Issa is a budding fashion blogger, and she's asked you to build her a new website just in time for New York Fashion Week. Use your new HTML knowledge to create the underlying structure of the blog. Make sure to include plenty of pictures, links, lists, and other HTML elements that you've learned so that her fans have plenty to read. You can view a completed project and see how it compares to your work. All right, now let's jump right into step 1. To start, add the doc-type HTML declaration as the very first line of code at the top of the index.html file. Add the HTML element below. So let's navigate inside of our code editor and add the doc-type HTML declaration as the first line. Then we want to add the HTML element below. Perfect. Now let's check off step 1 and let's move on to step 2. Below the HTML opening tag, that would be right here, we want to add a head element. Below the head element, we want to add the body element. So let's add our head opening and closing tags and also the body. All right, perfect. We're done with step 2, and let's move on to step 3. Within the head tags, add a title element. So within the head tags, let's add the title. Inside of which we are going to write "Every Day with Issa." Okay. Great. Now we're done with step 3, and let's move on to step 4. Directly below the opening body tag, that would be right here, we want to add an H1 that says "An Insider's Guide to New York Fashion Week." So let's add our heading that says "An Insider's Guide to New York Fashion Week." And below that, we want to add an H2 that says "Getting Tickets and Picking the Shows." Let's add an H2. And picking the shows. Lastly, we want to add an H2 that says "Dressing for the Shows." H2. Dressing for the shows. Awesome. Now we're done with step 4. Let's move on to step 5. Here's Issa's first dispatch from Fashion Week. Let's add a blog post. Between the H1 and first H2 tag, that would be right here, add a P tag that says the following. So let's add a P tag, inside of which this paragraph will go. Awesome. Let's move on to step 6. Between the first and second H2 tags, add another paragraph to the post using the P tag. So between the first and second H2 tags, that would be right here, let's add another paragraph. Copy, paste. Perfect. Let's move on to step 7. After the last H2 tag, add a final paragraph that says the following. after the last H2 tag, that would be right here. Let's add another paragraph and paste it in between the opening and closing P tag. Right now I have 7 checked off. I'm going to click Save and take a look in the browser of what I have so far. So I have my first heading, a second heading, and there's actually a few of them. So let's recall that as the heading tags increase in number, they also decrease in font size. Therefore, an insider's guide to New York Fashion Week is bigger than getting tickets and picking the shows. Great, now let's move on to step 8. Of course, this wouldn't be a fashion blog without some images. Above each paragraph, add an image tag and set its source to be one of the following links. So let's navigate to our first paragraph, and above it, let's add the image tag. Now let's set its source as the first link in the box. All right, now let's hit save and take a look in the browser for our newly added image. And here it is. Now let's move on to the second box and add this following link. That will go above the second paragraph. Let's save and take a look. Here it is. And now let's add a third image right above our last paragraph. And save. And there it is. Now we're done with step 8. Let's move on to step 9. Your first blog post is complete. Now let's add an image of Issa so her readers get to know her. Below the opening body tag, let's navigate there. We want to add an image tag with the following source. Copy this link and paste it in between the quotes. Let's save and take a look at our browser, and here we have Issa. Perfect. Let's move on to step 10. Below the image tag, add an H3 that says, by Isabel Rodriguez 1 day ago. So right below the image tag, let's add an H3, which says, by Isabel Rodriguez 1 day ago. Save and take a look at our browser for the changes made. And here it is. And let's move on to step 11. Issa wants her readers to know that she's written a lot more than one post. Let's make a list of some related blog posts. Beneath the last paragraph, add an H4 tag that says related content. Underneath that header tag, create an unordered list. So beneath our last paragraph, here it is. Let's add an H4 tag that says related content. And underneath that header tag, create an unordered list. For that, we will use the UL tags. Which will hold list items. Now we're done with step 11. Let's move on to step 12. The unordered list should have the following 4 items. Let's navigate to inside of our unordered lists and generate those 4 list items. First one is how to style boyfriend jeans. Then we have when print is too much. the overalls trend. And lastly, fall's it color. Great. Now we're done with step 12. Let's move on to 13. Let's get Issa's blog connected to the rest of, just take a look what's here. Let's get connected to the rest of the web. In the first paragraph, turn New York Fashion Week into a link and have it go to the following link. Make sure to include the target blank attribute so that it opens in a new page. So let's copy this link. And now in the first paragraph, let's find NYFW. Here it is. And let's add an A tag with the following link for New York Fashion Week. Now let's also include the target blank attribute so that it opens in a new page. All right, now let's click Save and observe the changes in our browser. Let's click New York Fashion Week and see if it takes us to the Wikipedia page. Great, and it does. So our link is working and it successfully directs us to another page. We're done with step 13. Let's move on to 14. Issa wants to make sure that her friends can get in touch with her. At the bottom of your body, add a new div and set its ID to contact. Let's navigate to the bottom of our body and add a new div with an ID of contact. Let's not forget the closing div tag. And create a new P tag and put the following contact information inside of it. So inside of our div, we want to create a paragraph that will have the following contact information. Perfect. Now inside the contact div, put strong opening and closing tags around email, phone, and address. Now the strong tag signifies important text. So we want to wrap that around email, also around phone and address. Let's hit save and take a look at the changes in our browser to the right. Here it is. We see email, phone, and address. It should be right here where the green chat box is. Yes, and now they are all bold. Perfect. Now we're done with step 15 and let's move on to 16. Let's make the profile picture a link to the contact section of the web page. Find the profile image tag and surround it by opening and closing A tags. Let's find our profile image tag. Here it is. And let's surround it in opening and closing A tags. In the A tag, set href to contact. So we have our opening A tag. And a closing tag after the source. Now we've completed step 16. Let's move on to 17. Congrats, you've got the beginnings of a solid fashion blog. Feel free to make modifications and practice your HTML by adding more content. I'm going to hit save and let's take a look at our final product. So we have our images, our headings, some paragraphs with clickable words, and a contact section. Now let's navigate back to the top of our project and view a completed project and see how it compares to our work. So we have the following images, headings, paragraphs, the New York Fashion Week link, our list items, and our contact section. Looks identical to ours, so we have officially completed the Fashion Blog Freeform project. Now, of course, as step 17 suggests, you are free to make any modifications to this blog and structure it to your liking. And with that, we've come to an end of this video. I hope this walkthrough was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Happy coding!